article that supposedly triggered the president's tweet that said, Obama had me wiretapped. Did you overwrite that?
Did I?
Did you overwrite?
Overwrite.
Overwrite this issue of this idea, and do you think did you unintentionally mislead the president about what Obama did?
Oh, I see what you're asking.
Yes.
No, the story about how this article was written is very simple. It was late at night, and I was washing dishes, listening to Mark Levin's show from earlier in the day, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. I had seen all these articles, but nobody had actually put the case together the way Levin had, and so I reported the way he put it together, and I added some of the historical events that happened in between to basically show that the government under the Obama administration had done some surveillance of individuals close to Trump or a computer server in Trump Tower, and that somehow the result
none of that had been confirmed, though. You hadn't confirmed any of this stuff. There had been speculation.
Right.
But none of it, because we'd been trying to confirm some of this, and we never had.
It was the New York Times, the Washington Post, the BBC, the Guardian.
There was allusions to it, but nobody had confirmed this.
The Times had former and current government officials talking about some of the conversations that had been listened into. So, you know, if what you're saying is true, that it was speculative, it was certainly being treated as established reality because all of these speculative pieces were being used to build a case about Russian hacking and Russian influence. And all of a sudden, when, you know, like a Jenga tower, you sort of tugged at the bottom of it, that case fell apart. And now it becomes a question about, well, how did the government get this information and how did the press find out about it? And suddenly people were not interested in talking about Russian hacking anymore. So it's interesting to see how these stories get built. But what I found interesting in what Levin had put together was that there was all this reporting from mainstream sources that seemed to indicate that there was some kind of monitoring or surveillance, legal or illegal or whatever, we didn't know. But the most disturbing part about it was that the rules of the NSA had been relaxed so that the intelligence they gathered could be shared more widely among government agencies, and that it seemed to be something more than a coincidence that
should your article have been interpreted by the president as fact-based, or that you were basically laying out a potential scenario?
I don't know if the president was reading my article in particular, but that was a scenario laid out by Mark Levin.
So you were reporting a scenario, not necessarily saying this was fact, this was cold, hard fact.
No, it's a set of facts lined up to make an argument about what happened, which is how many legal arguments are crafted. You have all these different things that happen, and the sources in this sense were unimpeachable because they were from the mainstream media. This wasn't, conspiracy website here or there. This was stuff that was being reported and just nobody had really pulled it together. And the question really is about how did this intelligence, how was it collected and how did it come into the hands of the media, and why was it being used in the way it was? And I think it looks like we're going to start to get some answers about that, but it was
that's, I think,